Save the Semantics, episode 174. It is April 24th, 2022. My name is Myro. This is the podcast where I ramble on for a bit about some shit. Excuse me. I have like a burp coming through and it's not coming out. It's a cough instead. Nice day out. I'm planning on watching a movie in a little bit, and I kind of wish that maybe I recorded this before or after I watched the movie, but I don't know if I'm gonna do that. I feel like I might do like a separate episode just talking about the movie. That might come this week, actually. I don't know, depending on how I feel about the movie. Obviously, my schedule and everything like that. I think it might be kind of fun to do that. So yeah, I'm gonna go watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. It seems like a really interesting movie. I don't really know anything going into it. I've heard good things about it, and that's kind of how I like to, approach movies, is like just kind of get a general sense of what it is, but not delve too deeply into it. So far, just based on kind of a brief overview of the movie online, it seems to be doing pretty well. Both financially and critically, so I yeah, looking forward to it. I watched a movie earlier, like last month, with my friend. it was the Michael Bay movie called Ambulance, and it was a fun time. It was ridiculous, it was really dumb, but it was fun, and that's kind of what I expected going into it. So it wasn't really anything like, I wasn't disappointed or anything like that. It was very silly and over the top, but it was fun. So I think obviously this movie's going to be very different from that. But I'm excited. I'm sort of I'm kind of like in the headspace of maybe going to the movies maybe a little more frequently. I think there's some good stuff out right now. And also there's that one, maybe I'm not as interested in watching it. There's that one like Nick Cage movie with who else is it? What's his name? I forgot his name. Is it Pablo Pascal? Pedro Pascal. And that one seems pretty interesting, so I'll keep my eyes out on that one. But yeah, I don't know. I like. I've talked about it before, but I enjoy just going to the movies and everything like that. It's like it's a good change of pace, and I really have not been watching anything on Netflix for both shows and movies. There's just hasn't really been anything that's really like gotten my attention, unfortunately. Like I've been sticking to just kind of YouTube and listening to podcasts and shit, and not much else really, which is fine. Playing my Switch and whatnot, but in terms of like sitting down and like enjoying like a show or movie, I haven't done that in a while. I don't know, it's just been, and I think recently there's been a lot of news about Netflix and kind of how they've lost a lot of subscribers, just a lot of the business moves they've made, a lot of the decisions that they've gone through with don't really make a whole lot of sense. I don't really know what exactly is going on with them. Like they're continuing to jack up the prices with really no no reason to. Like, they're just like, yeah, we're just gonna do it because, right? What, inflation? That's probably their excuse going into it. Oh yeah, because it's not the same thing though. It doesn't really make sense, like, in terms of like other things that are, you know, continuing to like go up in prices. Like, it's not, Netflix is not an essential. It's a luxury, basically, right? So uh I think people are kind of like fed up with it. Honestly, I haven't watched anything from it. So I'm thinking of like, I'm thinking personally of canceling as well. There are still some things that I'm like kind of interested in, like Ozark. I just haven't gone past the first episode. I just haven't really had much of a want to, even though like it's like the final season and everything like that. Also, Better Call Saul is being released on non-US Netflix, which is hilarious. So that's like another draw for me. And other than that, there's not much else. There's I know there are a lot of good stuff on there for sure. I totally get that. But I just I just haven't personally found anything that's really hooked me recently. You know what I mean? The last thing was Squid Games, and that was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. So yeah, it was like last year. So it's like I don't really have. There's really not much else at the moment that's really like drawing me in. And honestly, like I don't. I again, like I'm not really investing much time in shows in general. So like even if I like switch from Netflix and then went with like another um streaming provider like HBO Max, like I don't really know how much time I would really invest in watching shows and everything like that. Like I'd say like there's probably more stuff on HBO Max that I would be interested in. Like there would be like Barry. I remember when I had a free trial, I watched like all of the like the 2 seasons leading up to the third season right now. And also, what's that show called? It's like pretty well known. What is on there? Let me see. I'm looking it up right now. There's like a big one. Oh, that Tokyo Vice one sounds pretty good. Succession sounds really good. I've heard really good things about it. But again, I don't know. I just don't know if I would be really all that invested in that show, even as great as it is. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. It's kind of annoying. It's annoying on my end because I'm like, I mean, there's just so many options available, but I just personally don't really care all that much. So I don't know. Yeah, I've just been I've talked about this forever. Pretty much, I feel like every single episode I talk about this, but I think I've really just gotten to a point where I'm like, you know what? I'm not really. There's just nothing that's really drawn me in recently, and that's fine. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to be all that invested in everything that you are, I guess, subscribed to. I don't owe I don't owe Netflix shit really. I'm paying for a service. There's just nothing in their catalog at the moment. I'm just personally not interested in anything in particular at the moment. So, once I get that feeling too, then maybe I'll watch, pick something back up. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, I think it's, I don't know what it is exactly. I think it's just, time and whatever my kind of what I want from, leisure and everything like that. And I think I'm just kind of comfortable with where I'm at right now and not really, delving too deeply into anything. Like kind of like the feelings of FOMO or whatever. I'm sort of like not like, if I miss a show, then I miss it, and then I can always kind of go back to it. I understand like the feelings of like watching a show as it kind of transpires or as episodes are released. I totally get that. That's like that's part of like the TV show viewing experience, right? Like, and especially nowadays, like you're kind of like watching along with other viewers, and you can like discuss and everything like that, and everyone is kind of like at like the same place if a show is like released in that way. So I don't know, I think there's like there's a lot of value to be had there. Again, it's just for my own personal take. I just haven't had a lot of interest really all that much. And I've just kind of been, I don't know, I've just been chilling, watching, like streams, like Twitch streams, like YouTube. Just, I don't know, it's easy to kind of just get in and out without really too much investment in that sense. Also, I've been watching a lot of basketball, so that's been taking up quite a bit of my time. Playoff basketball is right now, most series have gone and completed their games 4 or game 4s. So I'd say, what is it, like a week and a half ish is or maybe not, maybe just like a weekish into the playoffs we're in. So it's been good. It's been a lot of fun. There's been some really good games. The Warriors are up 3-0. I think they're losing right now. This is going to be, they're playing game 4 right now. I think they might be losing. This might be the one where they kind of take the loss and then go back home and it's relatively close, 81-89. They might be able to sneak in and win, but I'm not super worried. I think we can probably get that series. But I'd say other than ours, all the other series in like the first round of the playoffs have been really exciting. It's been really competitive. The Timberwolves Grizzlies are now tied 2-2, so it's pretty exciting. I think a lot of people argued that like the teams match up pretty well earlier on, and that's kind of how it's gone about. I think that Cat is a really difficult player to guard for Memphis. Like, even though he's had some really bad games this series, like a couple of really bad games, he's still like an incredible player. Just like he's very versatile. He could really be like a really great player. I think it's just he has some things that kind of, some of the choices he makes, like the fouls, I think is like a big one that people point to. He makes some like really like untimely fouls, and he's like fouled out of the game, like the play-in game, like he played it like really poorly, and I think a lot of people kind of were like had some issue with that. Last game they blew a 25-point lead, which is pretty embarrassing. And then last night they were able to hold on to win by 1. So it's an exciting series for sure. I'm kind of, as a Warriors fan, I'm kind of hoping that Minnesota pulls through, because I think like again, Cat is going to be really difficult for us to guard, but I think we have a better chance against them than with Memphis. I think Memphis, we've had some struggles with them this past regular season, and I don't know. They could be. I'm sure that we could probably beat them, but I like our chances with the Timberwolves a little bit more. I think I really for some reason Ja just goes off. I mean, he's an incredible player, but against us, he just goes off, and I don't know. It's I think that would be a bit of a tough matchup for us. Also, we don't have home court in that series, so I think having Minnesota would be much more favorable for the Warriors. Other series, I just before I kind of left, I watched kind of the ending of the Bulls and the Bucks game, and it's just kind of disappointing. I I really like DeMar DeRozan. I've talked about, kind of how I've sort of seen him progress in his career, how he started off in Toronto, and he was kind of like, he wasn't like super great, but he wasn't like an explosive player when he was really young. He was, in the dunk contest, but and he sort of evolved his game, and now he's, what he is with his mid-range. But I mean, he's not necessarily the reason that they've lost. They've gotten blown out the last couple games. I think just the Bucks just have a better team. They're just much bigger, for one, right? So it's kind of disappointing. I like this Bulls team. I like Zach LaVine. I like Caruso. I think they have solid like role players, but it's just disappointing. I think that I think a lot of people kind of saw this coming because they didn't do all that well against them in the regular season. So it was sort of like, I don't know, a lot of people are kind of like expecting this outcome, and they did pull game 1 or game 2 with DeMar DeRozan going off by 41, but other than that, these last 2 games have been pretty shit. I want it to be. I think it would have been fun to see a competitive series. Also, it's just disappointing because, like, they were at home. They're in Chicago, and these are going to be the only playoff games that they have there, and both of them they get blown out by 20 plus, which is pretty embarrassing, unfortunately. So I don't know. It's too bad. I wanted to see DeRozan have a little bit more success. Like, if they didn't get the Bulls, or if they didn't get the Bucks, they could have been something. And they also kind of faltered quite a bit toward the end of the regular season. Like, if they somehow were above, like, I'm trying to think. If they were, what would be like a favorable matchup for them? I don't really know, because they didn't really do all that well against anybody at the end there. So I think, I don't know. Like, if they somehow squeezed in and held on to like a 2 seed, I don't know. Then they would have played the Nets, so that wouldn't have worked out. If they got the 1 seed, if they somehow kept the 1 seed from like halfway point of the regular season, then they would have played the Hawks, and I think that would have been competitive. But also, the Hawks are a kind of a sneaky team, and they got to win against the Heat, and I think they have a fighting chance, man. I think they're just such an unpredictable team. Like last year, they somehow made it into the Eastern Conference Finals, and then this year they were disappointing. I don't really know. Like, they just kind of have, they're just very unpredictable. They're not going to win. They're not going to win the championship or anything like that, and I don't think they'll make it past the second round, but they're just a very, I don't know, they're just like a very, they're a troubling team for some others, because they're just kind of, again, they're unpredictable, so it's really like kind of like, what are they going to get? Are they going to get Trae Young going for 50, or they're just going to, kind of a, bad loss? Or are you going to get like their role players shooting like 50% from three, or, just kind of bad defense? I guess bad defense is kind of like every game. They're not a very good defensive team, but yeah, I don't know. Regardless of where their standings were, I feel like the Bulls would have not done very well in the first round regardless. Like, it's just really unfortunate that they came up with against the Bucks, who they got swept by in the regular season. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. Who is the 4 and 5 seed in the East? That's Toronto and the Sixers. Yeah, they would have gotten killed by the Sixers just because Embiid, and Toronto would have been kind of a problem for them. Again, I think out of all the teams, like because like the East is so like all the teams are so close in record. Is somehow the regular season kind of ended differently, and somehow the Bulls were able to hold on to like a different playoff position, then I think the only favorable matchups for them, or like somewhat favorable matchups for them, would have been Toronto and the Hawks, and then everybody else, it would have been a problem. So hopefully, I think they can probably try to recoup their losses and come back next season and hopefully kind of squeeze back into the playoffs. But I don't know, man. It's obviously we're still in the first round. Like there's just so much time to like we're not even like through the partway through. We're so like little through the playoffs. But thinking ahead for Chicago, I think they can make like one more sort of run in the playoffs. If they are able to keep DeRozan and kind of Levine and everything like that. But I don't know. Because I'm looking at like the other Eastern Conference teams. Cleveland, if they're able to keep that core and just kind of, injuries unfortunately kind of derailed their season, but if they're able to keep that core, they're still a pretty damn good team, and I feel like they're probably going to be better than the Bulls next year. The Hornets, I don't know, they're sort of like in the middle of the pack. I feel like they need like one more really good player. Like I think everybody's, I'm pretty much on the same page with everybody in terms of like if they could just get like one more, like a big, like a really skilled big, then like I feel like they should have gone for like Miles Turner. I feel like they could have been that could have been like a problem team in the playoffs. They probably wouldn't have made like a really deep run or anything like that, but I think that could have been something. Who else? Who else is in the East? Let me see. I don't know. But I think that it would still be difficult for Chicago to really kind of pull off anything really. But hopefully they can do something next year. Yeah. So a lot of basketball is happening. I've been really happy with what I've watched so far. This has been a really exciting playoffs so far, and I'm really happy. I'm being a Warriors fan and everything. I'm very happy with how things have gone. I'm really happy with Poole and his just his coming out party. Like, it's just been incredible to watch. So, I think it's not going to be easy road. Like, we're we're gonna beat the Nuggets. I'm really certain of that. Like, I don't know if they're gonna win this game, but today's game. But I think they can probably squeeze. They're probably gonna, win at home. And that's gonna be it for that. And then they'll face off against hopefully Minnesota in the second round. So I'll be keeping tuned in, and I might do another episode this week if I enjoy this movie a lot. I might do like a quick review, or I might just do another podcast episode earlier this week, or whenever the fuck I kind of feel like or have the time to, just because I think it might be worthwhile. I think that there could be some things to discuss with that movie, and also other stuff too. I've been listening to quite a lot of music. I didn't have a chance to really delve into that, but I've been listening to quite a lot of music that I haven't before, and I think that's something that I kind of want to talk about. So I'll save that for next time. And yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. Thanks for listening. This has been Save the Semantics, signing off.